Longtime fans of this channel would probably know how long I have been in the game, and how little I have to show for it. For all my yapping about incremental improvements in every track, I have neglected everything else that might make a YouTube channel successful. And after having weeded out all of the flaws in the first half of 2025, and shortly thereafter starting to polish each video to the standards I laid out in the 4th anniversary project, go watch that one for more info if you haven't already, I was poised to round the final stretch with a trial run of regular uploads. Now these two projects were done back to back and gave me the perfect place to start. I vowed to seize the opportunity and let this snowball into a consistent run of videos, if only to satisfy my ambition to grow my channel. As someone who works in bursts and takes massive breaks in between, and also had school to care about starting in September, I had to carefully plan out how best to structure my release schedule so that A, viewers don't get too bored, B, I don't get too obsessed, and C, I can let the channel run its course until my next term break in December and January. By the end, I settled on an ambitious target. At least one new video every 2 weeks through to the end of 2025. So I got to work creating my stockpile of content. I looked a few months into the future with the help of the amazing Google Calendar and laid down very specific Fridays which I wanted a video out, which I translated into an internal schedule which you can see here. I keep mentioning how long it takes to finish even one video I put out, with 90% of the effort going into incrementally improving demos, and 10% going into putting up a simple visual consisting mainly of a scrolling piano roll. But now that I was basically on a 45-day time crunch, there was no time to worry about demos, it was more about deadlines, however far away those deadlines seem to be. And because I have some underlying issues with anxiety and all that, I finished a huge batch of remixes in one crazy frenzied session all throughout August, with each being finished in record time. After the Come Over remix, the signs of creator burnout were definitely beginning to show, and I went cold turkey on my channel for a little while. I then came back to make the Be Alright remix in September because I was that bored. Now I know that was a lot of information to digest, but basically all you need to know is that I sabotaged myself during the summer, and all of the content I put out in the second half of 2025 was rushed except for Different 5B, because I gave Different 5B the impossible task of following up Earthquake 2803. I really hoped that September 15th, the internal cutoff date for the summer grind, would be the end of it all. But I think everything that happened after September 15th was way more interesting than the actual grind. As September turned into October, I had a very rude awakening. Products of the summer holiday grind universally debuted to low viewership, even though I used some of the newest songs available at the time. For a channel that's increasingly being run as a quote-unquote digital asset and not a hobby repository, that worried me and encouraged me to come back again and again. To balance this with school, I got really good at making something serviceable in 2 or 3 days, and my music went through noticeable changes to accommodate my new goals. If you remember my Runaway remix, that was a whole rhapsody and a half just because I didn't care much about exposure and whatnot. Fast forward to the We Go Up remix and I was singing a completely different tune. I had to care about whether I could give the song an MV edit, how long I have before my stuff isn't relevant anymore, the whole 9 yards. And making a nearly 5-minute song requires days of brainpower that I didn't have. So my remixes got shorter and more quote-unquote mainstream. And starting in late October or so, my channel had a growth phase entirely carried by old videos suddenly hitting their stride all at once. Especially some outdated 8-bit covers that I'd kinda given up on, like APT or Supernatural or New Jeans, which was just a flat-out insult to my new content, and led me to question whether expertise really mattered to the audience. The final nail in the coffin was perhaps Not Cute Anymore 2803, where I purposefully reverted to a very simple style and got more likes off of that than my most sophisticated 8-bit cover, Attitude 2803. The only new videos that actually got views during this time were Golden VRC6, which is self-explanatory given the enduring popularity of Golden itself, and the Spaghetti remix, which was rushed and published just days after the source song came out. Considering that the only major difference between Spaghetti and stuff like Air or Style was the currency of the material remixed, I would wager that my victory was based on speed, not quality. This was consistent with the performance of other remixes done in the same manner, such as We Go Up and Runaway. Judging by the fact that this channel went from 98 to 145 subscribers before 1st January 2026, by far the most explosive growth I've seen, I'd say the grind had its upsides. I suspect that by sticking to this semi-consistent schedule, even while some videos were misses rather than hits, I signaled to the algorithm gods that I was playing the long game, not just a one-hit wonder dropping something random every once in a while. Okay. I say semi-consistent because towards the final weeks of 2025, my release schedule was shortened to every 7 days after some new 8-bit covers were finished in November. However, I'm not going to be able to keep this up for much longer. I have a big semester ahead of me, and the next time I'm this free again might be the summer of 2026, or even the summer of 2027. Even though the backlog was eventually cleared in March 2026, when I broke the cycle for the first time, I retain a lot of habits picked up during the grind, like massively scrunched development timelines and obsessively checking YouTube Studio. I still plan every video not with the simple desire to make a remix or a cover, but as a strategic move to expand or retain my audience, and that is not a mindset I want to put towards a hobby. So this begs the question, am I a musician, a YouTuber, just a guy on the internet, or somewhere in between? After this grind, the answer to that question became a lot more uncertain. I realized that trying to do everything at once takes away from the joy of doing one thing occasionally. But a lot of YouTubers do that exceptionally well. I may just be asking myself too many what-ifs to make this a full-time project. Moving forward though, I will try to find a good balance between keeping the soul of the channel, keeping other aspects of my life in check, and giving this channel more exposure. I am also trying a lot of new things behind the scenes and receiving some mindset training. You should expect more delicious content to trickle out, albeit at a slower rate than what was possible for the second half of 2025. And with natural selection happening along the way, I now have the data, which frankly matters more than expertise, to take this channel to new heights. Fare thee well, thanks for stopping by, and see you very soon.